Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Based on the last video I uploaded, here's a part 2 of this dress. Also playing on the screen is the drafting of this same dress. And now we're going to be completing the rest of the stitching. If this seems like what you're interested in, you might want to hit that subscribe button and let's start. So guys, heading back to my work table, the first thing I did was to arrange my patterns in the way I want to stitch them up on the machine. So I placed my two side fronts alongside with my center front on the table like this, and I'll just go ahead and stitch them together with 0.5 inches stitching allowance. And after I was done, I'll still go ahead and do the same thing on the lining piece. So guys, after stitching up the side fronts to the center fronts, I went ahead to pad it up with my air stay, just a little light padding, it's not that heavy and thick. This is the lining piece which I have joined when I was stitching the front piece. As you can see, it's already looking beautiful. So let's move over to the back piece. The first thing I'll be doing on the back piece is to arrange them in order, just the way I want them to be stitched on the machine. And then I'll go ahead and stitch them up respectively, just like I did for the front, and get back to you. So guys, this is what it looks like after I was done stitching up all the pieces of my front and my back piece. So I want you guys to comprehend the way I'm going to be joining the front piece and the back piece that will determine how I will attach the collar. So let's assume we are sewing a simple button shirt with collar. That means the neckline is going to appear in one round piece. So by doing that, I'm going to be setting this lining piece aside because I'll be stitching the front first before working on that. So I'll just go ahead and place them like this, right side to right side, facing each other. I'm talking about the main fabric, so just place them like this on top of each other, right side to right side, and then just stitch the shoulders by half of an inch on both sides. After that, I'm going to be doing the same thing on the lining piece. Remember to differentiate the difference between the front and the back so you wouldn't make a mistake of losing it later on. So this is how it looks like after I was done stitching both the lining and both the main fabric. So I just placed them together for you guys to see, and then the next thing I'll be doing right now is to measure the total length of this neckline as a whole. So just get your tape rule and then start from one end of the neckline and then measure all what you have there all the way to the other end of the neckline, and then check what you have. For me, I have 29.5. And automatically whatever I have on the main piece is what I will have for my lining piece. So I'll just set this aside and then we move ahead to draft the collar. To draft the collar, you'll be needing a piece of pattern paper and then measure 29.5 divided by 2, which equals 14.75. This is because I folded the neckline into 2 before getting this result. So just go ahead and work with this, and then what we are going to do next is to measure 14.75 with our tape rule this way and then mark where the measurement stops. That's going to be half of our neckline. Then I'll go ahead to connect the line into a straight line with my ruler. So this is where my measurement stopped. The next thing I'll be doing is to mark a point somewhere here. I'll be breaking it into 2 to tell the difference between the front neckline and the back neckline. Okay, the front neckline is this V part. So I'll just start from the shoulder and stop at the other end of the shoulder. By folding it into 2 equal half, I'll be getting the midpoint. I'll be getting what I have there, which is 8 inches. So I have 8 inches measurement for that point. So I'll go ahead and impute it on this line. So I'll be choosing one part of it, which is this side, and then impute my 8 inches along this part. So after getting your own measurement, all you need to do is to place your tape rule this way and then get 8 inches mark there and then mark it down. So this side is going to be the back of the neckline, and then this is going to be the front side. So I'll go upwards by 1 inch, like you see me doing. I'll be marking 1 inch, and from there I'll be connecting it to the midpoint here, just as you see me pointing, and then to the rest of the line. So I'll be using my curved ruler to do this. After I was done with that, I went upwards by extra 2 inches. So this is determined by your choice, the wideness of the collar which you desire to use here. So I'm marking 2 inches now, but at a time I decided to add about half of an inch as well. So just go ahead and mark 2.5 to 3 inches wide, okay? And then at the midpoint here I marked 1.5, okay? You can still make it 2 inches. Just it depends on the wideness of your collar and what you want it to look like. So this is my own preference. Just go ahead and connect it with your curve ruler to follow the other shape which you did initially, and then complete the curve by marking the same measurement you have at your midpoint here, just mark 1 inch there or 2 inches, just like you planned, and then connect it to the middle, just like you see me doing. After that, you're going to smoothen out the rough edges and the pointed edges. So just go ahead and connect this part in a slanted shape like this, or you can even make it straight, okay? It really depends on your choice. So I felt like what I have is really not enough, so I decided to add half of an inch at this point just to bring it out a little bit, and then connected it back into the line. So this part, from this part, the end of this part to this midpoint is 8 inches, and this is going to be the back of the neckline, and here is going to be the front. Next, I'll go ahead and cut it out. For this back neckline, you know that the zipper is included when I was measuring the roundness of my neckline initially. So I'm removing 2 inches this way. This is the part where I notched on my dress. So I'm just trying to make that clear enough for you guys to understand. And then the remaining part is just the collar. So this collar is going to be in 2 pieces, which means I'll be cutting out 4 pieces. 2 for the main fabric and 2 for the lining piece. So I placed my pattern on a white crepe and then pin it down just to cut it out. So I cut out this side without any stitching allowance because it's the zipper, okay? It's the zipper allowance. And then the rest I'll be adding half of an inch all the way around and then cut it all up. So now I have 2 pieces. I'm going to be duplicating it to get 4 pieces. And after I was done cutting out the 4 pieces for the collar, I went ahead to attach my gum stay or pepper stay to it. This is the lightest of them all, and I'll iron it only on the lining piece. This is what it looks like after I was done pressing it on the lining piece. As you can see, it's somehow hard and just light. So I didn't apply it to the end of this part because I'll be stitching on that part. I didn't let the paper stay to get to that part. So I'll be placing the main fabric and the lining piece right side to right side facing each other, and then I'll head over to stitch it along this line all the way through just like this and stop here, okay? And afterwards I'll do the same thing for the other parts. This is what it looks like after I was done stitching the boat collar on the outer part. And as you can see, I trimmed out the pointy edges just like this and also some parts of it. The next thing to do is to turn it inside out and then press it. This is what it looks like after pressing it. Next thing I'll be doing is to bring back the upper part and pin down the collars to the neckline. After arranging it the way I want it to stay, I went ahead to bring one part of the collar, placed it on one side like this, starting from the middle, which is the midpoint of the V neckline. So I went ahead and made sure that it's in place before pinning it down with my pins. After that, I'm going to be repeating the same thing for the other side as well. So guys, this is how it looks like after I was done pinning it all through. The next thing I'll be doing right now is to stitch it on the machine, and then I'm going to be placing my lining piece just like you see me doing, ensuring that the midpoints are meeting with each other. It should be right side to right side facing each other as well. So just go ahead and stitch it on the machine and then flip it over and top stitch. So this is what it looks like after I was done. I also top stitched it. So to top stitch this, you are going to first of all notch the inside, the rough edges like this, notch it all through before you flip it over this way and then top stitch on the machine towards the lining part. So after you are done, it's going to look somehow like this. You are going to fold it over by half of an inch like this. Just make sure you bend it forward before completing the dress, like before inserting your zipper. So for the meantime, you're going to do that later. So what we do is to iron it out when you are done. It should look something like this when you are done with the dress, okay? So that's just a little hint on the overall outcome of this dress. Next, I'm going to be closing the sides, okay? We're closing the front side and then the sides for the back as well, including the zipper sides. Just go ahead and flip it over this way, open it up, right side of the lining facing the right side of the main fabric, and they are going to stitch by 3/4 of an inch. Then this is what it looks like after I was done stitching. Just take a look at how beautiful it is already. So the next thing to do right now is to fix the lower part, which is the skirt pattern. As you can see, I've already gone ahead to stitch it all up on the sides. So this is how it looks like when I said initially in my first video that I am giving 2.5 inches space from the distance between the lining and the main fabric, if that makes sense. Next thing to do is to fix the dart, and as you can see, I also went ahead to stitch the 2 back pieces already, and I'm going to be setting it aside for now and then work on the darts for the front. To stitch the dart, I'll be using the upper part to determine the measurement of the dart which I need. Just like you see me measuring, I have 6.5, so I'll make sure I distribute that evenly by folding my tape rule into 2 equal parts, and what I got is 3.25. so that 3.25 is what I'll be using for my dart. So I'll be folding my fabric like this, or better still, I'll be using the midpoint which I have in the middle of my skirt. So I'll be measuring 3.25 here instead of using my nipple to nipple measurement. I'll also be including the 3.25 on the other side. And after I was done with that, I went ahead to measure 4 inches for the length of the dart. So I'll be measuring 4 inches like you see me marking on both sides. So guys, the next thing I did was to fold the dart on that line I just drew, pin it down, and measured the dart leg by 1/2 inch. So this is how it's going to look like after I was done joining them both at the waistline. You can see how the darts are connected to each other. I also didn't forget to do the same thing on the back piece. So guys, this is how everything looks like after I was done stitching them at the waistline. You can see that the darts are intact and looking all nice. This dress is already looking hot. Heading to the back, you can see that I've joined the 2 back pieces together, leaving a little space at the lower part just for the slit, just a little slit. Okay, so what you're going to do next is just to arrange this neckline. I initially mentioned that you fold it outwards by 1/2 inch, and the rest of what you have is going to cover up for the neckline. When you're done folding, go ahead and secure it with your pins. Also do the same thing on the other side, making sure that the 2 sides are equal. And when you're done, go ahead and insert your zipper. I'm using a size 24 inches zipper here. So I'll just head over to the machine and fix it, then get back to you. After I was done stitching the zippers, I went ahead to close the sides, and what is left for me to do right now is just to work on the sleeve. So this is what the zipper looks like after I was done stitching, as you can see. So I'll just go ahead and trim out the excess fabric around the armhole at this point, and then do the same thing on the other side to make sure they're equal, okay, before working on the sleeve. So to draft the sleeve, I folded my crepe fabric into 2, just like you see me doing, and I measured the length I want the sleeve to have. So I'm measuring 22 inches here, and then I'm going to be using the remaining allowance there to fold it and make a casing for my elastic band. So to cut the both sleeves together, I still went further to fold my fabric into 2 again, just like this. The wideness of the sleeve determines on your preference. You can choose to make it very wide, as in it's going to be very full, or even lesser. So I imputed the calf height for my sleeve, and then I still measured the length, followed by placing the half of my armhole measurement on that calf's height. So just go ahead and mark 8 inches, just like you are drafting a basic sleeve. The only difference is that you are going to be adding extra 5 or 6 inches to it. So after I was done marking the measurements, I went ahead to connect them into different lines. I also have various tutorials on sleeves and balloon sleeves on my channel. If you want to get more clarified, just go ahead and watch that video, and then you understand better. So just go ahead and connect a slanted line like this to the end of your sleeve, and also curve it outwards like this, so that your sleeves will have that round shape before cutting it out. So this is how it looks like after I was done. The only thing left is just to go ahead and gather it all around this part, but that is optional. So I'll still go ahead and fold this part twice, like I'm going to be double folding this part to create a casing for my elastic band. Then I'll stitch the sleeves. This is how it looks like after I was done stitching. Thank you for watching this video up until this moment. If this video has been helpful to you, kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell for more. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.